Welcome to episode 5 of rental house versus high income ETFs. I should give this a subtitle of Arrival of the Grim Reaper or something like that because this has not been a very good week, but we'll survive. So, if you're new to these videos, what I have done, we've sold most of our rental properties, and the money we've taken from that, we've invested into different things, and ETFs are one of the things that we've invested in. So this is just one example of what we're doing with some of the money. We took the money from this house right here and have invested it into a few ETFs. And what I'm doing is comparing to see how that money is performing compared to how it would have done if we would have kept that house. So let's get going here. I would love it if you would subscribe and like the video and share it and do all those types of things. We have a Robinhood account here and we're using some margin. And as of today, our equity is 70,986. We're using margin. I have 62,702 in margin. And down here, you'll see what ETFs we own. You'll see the top one is SPY. We have giax, we have aipi, we have qdte. So qdte pays weekly, the rest of them pay once a month. If you've been watching these right along, you'll see something new here. The SPY, I bought 20 shares at $50.66 a share. It actually went up $1.50. We have $1,000 of SPY, and here's the balances of the rest. A few months ago, I started buying some giax, and I was going to build that up to about 1,000 shares or so. But I decided to start adding SPY. That would be the next thing I'm adding. I'll probably try to build this up to 1,000 shares. It only pays a return, a yield about 12%, but the net asset value increases. So there's two things here. These ETFs are income oriented. They're not so much for growth. And SPY does a little bit of both. I like the things that pay at least 20% yield per year, but that might be asking for a lot. So if SPY can grow 12% and the yield will slowly grow by maybe 4 or 5% based on what the S&P 500 does, it could be 15 to 20% total return per year, which I would be happy with that. So the other thing about SPY is on these downturns, the net asset value has held on pretty good, hasn't declined as much as some of these others. And this is not my first experience with SPY. I hold SPY with some of the money from some of the other rental properties, and it's been holding on very good. I also got money in QQQI, but not in this account. So here you'll see that I bought the SPY down here, 20 shares for $50.66 a share for a total of 1,013. This is a kind of a record of everything I've bought since we started this project back around November 1st, 2024. This is what's happened in the past week. We start down here at the bottom. We bought that 20 shares of SPY. We received a $813 distribution from aipi. I had this gold deposit boost payout of 5 cents. Not sure what that was. 24 cents in interest on money that's sitting around. This is actually in my other account. So I have a joint account and then I have an individual account. I usually filter that out. So then we have $74 in distributions from the giax, and then a $700 distribution from qdte. Here's where I keep track. These three things down here is what's happened this week. Repeating the three dividend payouts, aipi, giax, and qdte. I'll be adding the SPY to this. This is where I keep track of how I expected things to go and how things are going. So projected over here, this is what I projected. I projected by in February, I would have $79,000. I'd have a total of 59,000 in margin, a total invested 139, almost 140,000. This column here is what I'm projecting my equity column to grow by each week. And I used to do this monthly up here. You see the bigger chunks. This was by the month. I started doing it by the week since I was checking this weekly anyhow. I have equity of 70,986. So that's how much money I would have if I quit today. I started out with 70,000. I do have 62,702 in margin, which is more than what I had originally planned. I only plan to have this be at 75% of that number, but I'm at 88%, as you can see over here. My gain for the week was minus almost 7%, so that's not good. But my total gain is up 1.41% since the beginning of November when I started this. So that's 4 months. I've had a 1.4% return. So I'm expecting that to turn around soon. And there was news last week of tariffs happening, which if you go back and look at my title slide here, you see the Grim Reaper coming along with his tariffs and tearing everything down. But I'm not too worried about it. I expect that to be worked out and I expect these to bounce back. And the good news about it was when these dipped down, I was able to jump in and buy some shares of SPY for a little bit of a discount, but actually not a huge discount because that NAV does not drop a ton. So this is what my rental house would be doing if I would have kept it approximately. So collecting $700 a month in rent, paying $80 a month in insurance, and $200 a month in real estate tax on average. The house I estimating will appreciate by $233 a month. So the equity is growing over here in this column. So the balance, the cash balance and the equity, add those together, the rental house would be at 73,265 estimate. And if you look to see how things are going total, here's the house, 73,265. My ETF is sitting at 70,986. So the house is actually ahead in this little experiment by $2,279. Do I expect that to stay like that? No, I expect this number here to jump way back up and get back to normal. So that's what I expect, but reality, who knows? But I do know is that from this point on, when I add more shares of an ETF, it's going to be SPY. So that wraps up this weekly update. I hope you find this enjoyable. I understand that the market goes up and down, has pullbacks, and then it shoots up, then it pulls back. So if you have been in the stock market for a few years, you will have experienced ups and downs, and this is a down. I just look at downs as opportunity to buy shares of stock or ETFs at a discount. Tune in next week to see if this bounces back.